What actually happens when we make a decision? Let's say a person lives his life, moves from somewhere towards something. He goes and goes steadily and surely, but at some point comes up against the wall. This is where he has to act, to do something with it. There are certain criteria that have to be fulfilled for an action in order to be called a decision. If an action is performed easily, it's not a decision but merely a skill. A real decision is always taken with an effort. The feeling of taking a risk and anxiety go hand in hand with that. A decision always has something to do with a choice. Yes or no. This choice is never easy. Being by any means easy, it's not a choice but a mastered skill. In other words, it's highly unlikely that a man would be puzzled about what to eat for dinner, macaroni or mashed potatoes. This is not a decision but a routine. He has done that a whole lot of times. An example of a real decision might be a choice of where to invest money. No doubts, there is a risk, and moreover, quite significant. You are well aware of possible outcomes, loss or increase, but you have no way of knowing how to make the right choice. A decision is not a simple action. This is always an impulse. What does it mean? Having made a decision, a man ends up at an absolutely different playing field, a life situation with new rules. For instance, a person quits job number 1 and gets job number 2. As soon as he decided to change workplaces, a switch in his head went on. This is like energy discharge. Prior that, the man thinks, analyzes pros and cons, fighting the doubts. Due to those efforts, an energy level grows, boils, bubbles more, and kind of an impulse appears. Then he finally decides, let's say, to change jobs. And finally, puff, it's gone. A massive discharge happens. So, where does that energy go? It goes to another playing field where a new game starts. Simply put, the feeling of relief after making a decision signifies that a man has already changed the playing field, at least in his head, which means he must already act considering new circumstances, even if he hasn't quit the old job yet. Based on that, why is it so important not to step back? In your mind, you already jumped into a new playing field. In fact, you left the old situation even though you might not realize that. It is merely your body that still stays at the old workplace. Consequently, in the light of all that, let's assume you start having doubts whether to stay or leave. What happens then? Speaking of playing fields, basically the new one is already real, and everything you think or do should be attributable to that new situation, even if your body stays in first one. If you start tossing about and ignore that, something peculiar occurs. Playing the previous game and nevertheless being subconsciously in a new one obviously leads to a zero result in the latter and as well causes problems in the original situation. Thus, stepping back after the energy discharge blocks both playing fields. A person finds himself in a state of limbo, in void between two situations. Oddly enough, most people are unable to make their own independent decisions and live their whole life there. They are only capable of following habits and reproduce routine actions. In limbo, you can't make real decisions. Ergo, it's better to make any decision and stick to that than try to step back. This is paradoxical. Let's say you moved to a new situation, burned all bridges, and realized that it was a wrong decision. Well, what's done is done. You start adapting to new negative circumstances and think how to ride out. You admit being mistaken, but humbly act according to new rules of the game and move forward in order not to end up in between, absolutely helpless. Consequently, as it might sound weird, most commonly a certain bonus appears on the new playing field. The moment you decided to play along, no matter what, the situation kind of opens a door for you, grants access to something that you weren't even thinking of. If you are tossing about, that door won't open. You have to follow your decision consistently, even if it was a bad one, until you have a chance to replay, to relocate, which is that aforementioned magic door to a more favorable territory. This is a paradox. Even a big failure may turn into a huge bonus eventually. A perfect manifestation of the proverb, who makes no mistakes makes nothing. If you messed up, don't resist. Don't wallow in thoughts about previous better conditions. Instead, accept the new situation, act accordingly, and wait for a chance to bail out. Take any successful famous person. Nobody's path was linear, straight, and logical. They were accepting inconvenient, difficult situations and were acting there. As a result, they would end up on a completely new playing field that often enough was of a higher level and even better than the first one. Unlike decisions, habits can be deviated from and changed easily. Let's say you came to the nearest shop to grab some groceries. You look around and understand that you feel like buying something different. And you, without further ado, go to another shop. It's a routine. You've done it many times. But in case of changing type of activity, it's strictly forbidden to shift around. Perhaps you realized that specifics of a job are not exactly in your favor. No matter what, don't dare think to turn back, because you have already subconsciously abandoned the old activity but hasn't achieved any result at the new place. Sit tight and tinker something. Do what you're supposed to do and wait until you have a chance to eject. Once the door is open, it turns out that you, as if intentionally, had gotten into this shit because this proves to be the best springboard for jumping to the next higher level in life. In a nutshell, if a man is not afraid of wrong decisions, he has a quite tangible chance to ascend. Most people are scared of improper decisions and, as a result, either wilt away on the playing field without any prospects and potential for them, or get stuck in limbo between situations, which is even much worse. Therefore, the universe welcomes any decision, provided you don't deviate from it, of course.